Today we're looking at the boy who lost his lunch. One day I saw this big crowd of people. I was carrying my brand new lunchbox with me, so tucking that carefully under my arm I ran towards the crowd. Something more interesting than my walk in the park must be happening. As I started to catch up with the crowd, I soon saw it was a really huge crowd. And while I'm okay at doing my mathematics, I'm still stuck on my 2 times table. There was just no way I could count that many people because I ran out of fingers and toes to count them with. Well, the crowd was moving along and they were all excited about something. Maybe they were trying to buy new lunch boxes for themselves too. It was getting late, so I was a bit surprised they didn't pop into the local shops to get a sandwich or something. But no, they just carried on. They didn't ask for directions or anything. They must know what they're doing and where they're going. But eventually, and before I even knew it, I must have walked like 1,000 miles or something because my feet were so tired. I almost broke into my lunchbox for a bit to eat. But the people looked a bit hangry. You know, hungry, angry at the same time. And I kept my food to myself because, I thought I'd wait until I could sneak off and start munching the food my mum had given me on my own. Eventually we came to a stop at the top of a mountain and I soon saw why everybody was there. Right in the middle of these millions of people, or thousands, like as many as I've seen at a football match anyway, I actually recognise this chap in the middle. His name is Jesus. Although everybody was going a bit headless about him being called John. But no, he was definitely called Jesus. He'd once made me feel better. I fell over and I hurt my knee and it was bleeding a little bit and, I was a bit upset. Jesus saw me crying. He was chilling. And then he said, "Your knee's better." And it was. Not something you forget when you've got a bleeding knee because you're crying and feeling sorry for yourself because you've just scraped your brand new lunchbox that your mum just bought you. And you've been told to look after this one. I do try to look after them, but I get through quite a few lunchboxes. I never know where they go. Anyway, there's Jesus and his bunch of mates around him looking a bit panicked, while as ever Jesus is just chilling about the whole thing, but looking a little bit sad, I thought. In fairness to his mates, the sound of all those people's tummies rumbling was a bit scary, even to me, and I'm really brave for my height. Can you imagine every person in a football ground all having tummy rumbles at the same time? It'd make the whole place shake. Well, it did for me. I heard the sound. I looked at my lunchbox and I went to open it. And then I saw all the hungry people around me. My dad always teaches me to look after others and to help whenever I can. So if nothing else, at least I could share my food with Jesus, because he was nice to me, when then at least he wouldn't be hungry anymore. I slowly walked through the crowd, clutching my lunchbox at my side, whistling and looking up to the sky, as innocent as I could, trying to look as though my lunchbox wasn't really full, stuffed with bread and fish. Eventually, I made it to Jesus and I gave him my lunchbox. As ever, he smiled his warmest smile at me and asked me how my knee was. How can he remember that? Anyway, his mates looked a little bit upset again. Maybe they didn't like my lunchbox. But Jesus took my food, said out loud to his dad how grateful he was for the food. Now, I couldn't see his dad, but he must be nearby because he wasn't shouting or anything. Well, he then gives my 5 loaves and my 2 fish, fresh, baked, crusty rolls, to his disciples, breaking them in 2 as he passes them to each of his friends. The funny thing is, it took quite a while for me to notice, but before long my lunchbox was feeding everybody. And then there was more food than I'd ever seen left over. Now, I know nobody had brought any food with them. The shops were a long way away, An Uber don't deliver to this mountain, nor do the pizza people. No one had a lunchbox with them, just me. And there it was, sat at my side after Jesus had given it back to me, so I could take it home. I wasn't going to lose this one. But before long I was wandering with all the crowds back home, still a little bit uncertain what's just happened. But the tummy rumbles had stopped, so everybody must have had something to eat. And when I finally got home, I told my mum all about it. She asked me where my lunchbox was. But I didn't know what I'd done with it this time either.